What's up, everyone? We have an amazing testimony here today. We have, for the first time on So Be It, a Gentile believer in Jesus. But hold on, you're going to see how Jewish this actually gets.
We started getting into more serious conversations and specifically into spiritual conversations. We realized there was a disconnect there. What led to the conflict in our conversation the first time is she asked me, when we get married, are we going to be able to pray in Jesus' name? I got a little bit defensive and I told her, like, you can do your Jesus prayers and I'll do my Jewish prayers. At some point, I really got curious to understand more of her beliefs and her books in my mind back then. And I started slowly realizing the Jewishness of it all. I needed to explore this by myself and to see if this is something that was going to continue to be important and relevant in my life without her in the picture.
Val married a Jewish man. He wasn't a believer. He was a believer. It's an amazing story. Let's get into it.
Yeah, so I met Sam, and from the very beginning, I found out that he is Jewish, and I have this faith in Jesus, and but we really liked each other. So we started reading the Psalms, then we jumped into the Gospels and thinking like, okay, he's on board with me. And then we were approaching this moment of like, let's get married. He broke up with me. He needed to find his own belief. And then we got married. We got together and got married.
So this sounds really fascinating. So I want to hear it from his point of view.
Yeah.
Sam, come over here.
Hi.
What's up, man?
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you here. You stay with us. So you guys end up getting married. Okay, that's great. But there was a journey to this place. And this is a really important topic because it happens that way to a lot of Jewish people where they fall in love with a Gentile or a non-Jew. Yeah. And then there's a emotional, spiritual, conscious battle of what are we going to do with our lives? How are we going to raise our kids? How do I feel as a Jew married to a woman that believes in Jesus? And how do I feel as a Jew even talking or thinking about Jesus? So how does that play out for you guys?
That was exactly the struggle. Like, we realized that we liked each other.
Yeah.
From the very beginning, we had this conversation in which I let her know how important my Jewish identity was. And she let me know how important her faith in Jesus was.
Okay. So what were your conversations like as you were dating about these kinds of things?
So in my mind, coming from a very humanistic home, I personally thought that it was possible for both of us to carry our own faiths and then like bring up a family in which both relate, where we find, that coexistence, that harmony. But as we started getting into more serious conversations and specifically into spiritual conversations, we realized there was a disconnect there. Like, there were several things we understood differently, even though we're both grew up Costa Ricans, understanding family, understanding love, understanding sin, understanding God. All of those things, when we got deep into them, we realized there was a lot for us to find that middle ground.
How did you bridge these differences?
Just had a lot of conversations, and we started reading actually the Bible together. We started with the Old Testament, the Tanakh. At some point, I really got curious to understand more of her beliefs and her books in my mind back then. And we started reading one of the Gospels, and I started slowly realizing the Jewishness of it all. The Jewish art, the Jewish authors, the Jewish audience they were writing to, the Jewish context that it was written back in Judea. There were several concepts like we understood, we had like deeply rooted in ourselves. But then I'm starting to understand that there's another way to understand it. And she started to see a lot of perspectives she didn't have. That's when she reached out to the Jewish Gentile couples ministry.
From Jews for Jesus.
From Jews for Jesus.
Yeah, with Tuvia Zaretsky.
Yeah, so that led to a really interesting meeting. I put a lot of resistance to it at first. I didn't know if I was going to feel comfortable with it. But all of that dissipated the moment we sat down with Tuvia. When I realized that this was the first Jewish believer in Jesus I ever encountered in my life, even though I had the chance to travel and explore cultures and explore religions, like, this is the first time my mind was grasping the idea that there are Jewish believers that I couldn't see before. We sat down with him and he did a wonderful job just like mediating between us, and he gifted us this booklet that it's for a program called Finding Spiritual Harmony for Jewish Gentile Couples. So that booklet became one of the pillars or one of the central things we started doing regularly. So reading it together and then discussing it together. You need to understand at this point, we were already like in a long distance relationship. So this was all happening over the phone. We were trying to get together and just discuss these ideas for hours, like maybe even 3 or 4 hours at a time.
And so how are you processing all of this as this is going on and he's getting interested and he's unsure? Were you becoming aware that you were actually following a faith that was Jewish?
I had it in the back of my mind, but it came alive.
Yes.
It really came alive.
It's absolutely beautiful because as a Gentile woman being obedient to God, you are delivering the message of hope and faith of the Jewish Messiah to a Jewish man. And that's one of the ways I came to faith too, that a couple of Gentile Christians in the gym were bold enough to come and share with me the love of Jesus to a Jew. And one of the best things they told me was that you're not coming into our faith. We've been so blessed to be able to come into the Jewish world and we worship the Jewish Messiah who's offered us salvation. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. So I want to get to the part where we actually talk about the fact that you broke up. Why did you break up?
So at this point, I'm starting to explore this faith. I'm very shy about it. I'm not ready to share it with my family yet, with my friends, with my community. I wasn't sure if all of this that I was thinking, feeling, and starting to believe was because of her. Because at this point, you need to understand, like, she became my pastor, my church, my mentor. Like, she was the only person I would talk about this to. And I needed to explore this by myself and to see if this is something that's what's going to continue to be important and relevant in my life without her in the picture.
Okay, so that's an important point because before we started filming, you were talking to me about how you grew up in a Christian family, but it wasn't your faith. You didn't have Jesus for yourself. It was a concept that your parents taught you. And then at one point, you actually realized that he is for me. And it became personal. And you had your own personal relationship with God. And what you just spoke about was that you were believing in Jesus. But wait a second. Can I believe in him personally? Can I have my own personal relationship with God away or separate from Val? Yeah. Is this mine as well? And that's so important that to all people that are watching, you're not born Christian. You're not born a Messianic Jew. You come to a place where you surrender your life to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob through his provision, which is his son, Jesus, or how we like to call him, Yeshua. So you break up, okay? And how did you navigate this on your own?
I came back to Costa Rica and I decided I wanted to start exploring all of this. I asked Tuvia to become my mentor. This was something that was really important for me to get someone who was already more mature in this to help me understand different concepts that I was struggling with. Yes. I joined a local non-denominational church in Costa Rica, and very quickly I found a very strong and beautiful, loving community of people that I never thought possible. And they were showing me something that I understood later, that what I was seeing was not necessarily their own personal reflections, but I was seeing the love of Jesus through them in all of those interactions. And that was one of the things that really encouraged me to just be part, get involved, learn more. And slowly but surely, I was able to start feeling more confident to share it with my family, share it with my friends. To be honest, I got a lot of support and love from my family. I thought I was going to be... I never expected for them to reject me or throw me out of the house. But I did expect a lot of pushback, but I received in exchange a lot of understanding, a lot of support, and just like open ears and open hearts to understand what was going on.
So I want to know the moment where the light went on and you realized, I got to get back to Vala before I lose her.
Okay, before coming to faith, I was expecting to receive from her this perfect romantic love that I was looking for, and it was being unfulfilled, and I was feeling very frustrated about it. I had this encounter one night where we were listening to worship music, and I was overwhelmed with this sense of perfect eternal love that made me cry for almost an hour. And this is when I realized, wait a second, there's something here more profound. There's something here spiritual happened, and this is what following Jesus looks like. This is what it can look like in my life. Next week, I come back to the city. I go regularly to my weekly meeting, and I decide to make this profession of faith. Coming out of that meeting, I receive a message from her who says, I'm visiting Costa Rica. I'm going to be here for a week.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Hold on. Right after you made your profession of faith.
Yeah.
Woo!
She texts me and says, I'm going to be in Costa Rica for a week. I'm visiting family. I'm about to move to a new place.
I love how God works.
Yeah. And I would love for us to just get together. And so I called her immediately and I told her, I'm coming over. I want to share something with you. And so we met and I shared I just professed faith.
Wow.
And I wasn't even thinking of, I'm going to tell her so we can get back together. I was just like so excited of this thing that I encountered. I just shared it with her and then I left. The week passed. That's when she said that she wanted to get back together.
I was actually the one asking him to get back together.
That we felt it was the right time and all of the things we wanted to see in the relationship were starting to align.
So this is absolutely beautiful. Okay, so you both get married. What was your wedding like?
It was beautiful. We got married in Costa Rica. And so Tuvia was the one who officiated the wedding. He was amazing because he brought together our faith and he was able to speak to both audiences there.
Right.
Jewish families and Sam's friends and also like to my family believers. And it was a beautiful celebration of just like love and laughter,
Right.
joy, yeah.
And it was a beautiful full circle moment because what led to the conflict in our conversation the first time is she asked me about when we get married, are we going to be able to pray in Jesus' name? I got a little bit defensive and I told her like, it's okay, like you can do your Jesus prayers and I'll do my Jewish prayers and that will be okay. And that led us into this perfect like full circle moment at the wedding when we both discovered that it was possible to have a ceremony in which would speak to my Jewish culture and identity, but our joint faith in Jesus.
Wow. Faith in Jesus is the truth that we are all invited to. You're still Gentile. You're still Jewish, but you are one in Messiah. It's a beautiful, beautiful story. And there are so many Jewish and Gentile couples in the world right now that don't know how to navigate this. And you guys were brave enough to go through this, allow Jesus to touch your hearts, open you to his truth. He says, I am the way and the truth and the life. You accepting your Jewish Messiah and you coming into Jewish Messiah. It's so beautiful. And so we have this ministry in Jews for Jesus that helps couples like this. And we want to encourage you that if you're a Jew and a Gentile, if you're a couple out there and you're struggling with these issues, we have resources. So you can reach out to us on our website. We're going to link all the information down in the description below. You can check us out there. You can go to jewsforjesus.org and search for our couples ministry as well there. I just want to say I've been so touched and blessed by your story. Thank you for sharing it to us. What are you guys doing today as a married couple?
So today, one of the first things we realized that was really important for us, we both decided to move here to Los Angeles to disciple other Jewish Gentile couples that are going through the same thing.
Okay, so if people want to meet you guys and have you help them, where would they go?
We have social media for Jewish Gentile couples ministry, but also on the Jews for Jesus website, you can find it. And at Upside Down, we have a community center, coffee shop, and art gallery, where we do a lot of events. We host one Shabbat dinner a month. We host the Jewish holidays. We host different art gallery exhibitions.
And you have really good coffee for what? Donation?
So it's a donation-based
That's
coffee
so
shop.
cool. That's so cool.
Whenever people come, they choose how much they want to pay for their coffee. And we are in a way of saying like, this is not a transactional interaction. It's more a relational interaction.
Beautiful, beautiful. So if you want to meet these guys, if you want to come to Upside Down Cafe here in Westwood, 10962 LeConte Avenue in Westwood. So come and visit, get a cup of coffee, hang out with us. It'll be great fun. So thank you guys for watching. If you like this kind of content, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments in the comment section, go down to the description to find out more. Visit jewsforjesus.org. God bless you guys. I'm so happy for you.